got nervous, he went to waving them instruments around up there to have a time.
He can take my place anytime. God is so good to us.
Yes.
Amen.
We've just had a time with our family, with me being gone and everything. It's never, being a daddy, it's never good. It's never fun being gone. It's never a good time, you know. And then my company turned around and worked me 68 hours in 5 days. So it was good to come home. and while everybody was at school and work, I got a little bit of rest in, you know, get everybody out of the house. But God is so good. Even when we can't see the good,
Yes.
He's still good.
Yes.
We've had a trial with our house situation, but we know that He still has a plan, and He's still, you know, tonight I want to talk a little bit about faith, and faith is believing that God has good for you even when you can't see it.
Yes.
That's faith. Faith is being able to look at the storm and say, God, well, whatever storm, whatever branches the storm's going to blow down, they need to go anyhow. You know, whatever's going to happen needs to happen because you have a plan. And it's hard when my father left when I was 13, and so I don't have the concept of this, but I understand the concept of, you know, sometimes we have to discipline our children. And in the middle of discipline, it doesn't feel like mommy or daddy has good intentions for you. But the Bible has a story that's a wonderful story, and it talks about how if your earthly father knows to give you the good things, how even more so does your heavenly Father know to give you good, to give you that which is good.
Yes.
You know, we all know earthly fathers are flawed. Amen? And if they know to give you good, how much more so does He know what to give you? Tonight I want to talk to you briefly about, it's about faith and where do you stand? I know I preached this message more than once, so if you have some hints of familiarity to it, just bear with me, but I really felt like it's really, really interesting to figure out where you stand. You know, last Sunday, I got concerned because Tara texted me a picture of the field out here and said, Paz, text your pictures. And I said, is he at the church? What in the world's he doing at the church? I said, he needs to get home, you know, because eventually he found himself not standing on such good ground. And my wife got out and she said, I can get out, but I might not be able to get back. You know, understanding where we stand is very key in a Christian walk in life. You know, the Bible there's an old song that says, I don't know if you guys sang it in your Christian walk, but I sang it as a kid. It says, don't build your house on the sandy land. Don't build it too near the shore. Something, 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 but you have to build it twice. And then you have to build your house once more. Build your house upon the rock. You know, of course, talking about Jesus. Build your house on faith in Jesus. We had an interesting thing happen. I guess my wife goes there way too much because I don't go there this much. But the Chinese restaurant we went to, the owner came over and was just chatting up us like she was our best friend and part of our family. So I guess my wife goes there quite a bit. But we were talking and being friendly, and you know, she handed me something it was really interesting because when we got ready to leave, my wife was on her way out to the car with a couple of the kids. And she wanted to give us something. You know, she wanted to give my wife a cell phone, free cell phone case. My wife, she didn't have the kind of case that my wife had. And then she gave us something else. And I said, what is this? She said, well, you hang it from your rearview mirror. And I said, okay. And there was a little Chinese writing on it, you know. And I said, what does this mean? And she said, well, when you're in your ship, it'll keep you safe. And I thought, that's sad. You know, that's sad and we turned around and got ready to walk away, and a woman walked up to, I don't know this woman from Adam, looked at Israel, because Israel was holding on to it, and it has little tassels. I mean, it's just a little colored stone type thing with tassels on it, no big deal. And she looked at him, don't you ever, she said, put that on your backpack. Don't ever go anywhere without that. And I thought, that's so sad. That people think that a little piece of glass with some listen, if that's all it took. Good Lord. If that's all it took, we'd all have them hanging on. I'd have, I don't know if y'all remember the Mexican balls on the inside of the cars, that hung around. I'd have all them things hanging from the ceiling, hanging from the roof of my car. But unfortunately, that's not where we should be standing. That's not where we can stand.
That's right.
I go back to the prophets of Baal. The prophets of Baal amaze me. That story amazes me because they cut themselves. They cried aloud. And I get a kick out of it because Elijah was a little arrogant. Don't tell me a man of God can't be arrogant, because he was a little arrogant. He told those prophets of Baal, hey, cry louder. Do a little more. Maybe he can't hear you. Maybe your God has fallen asleep. Come on. You're encouraging them to just act ridiculous.
Yeah.
Why? Because Elijah knew where he stood.
Yeah.
He had no doubts. And it amazes me. He doused them with water and, dug trenches around and just made it to where this is going to be good, And he basically said, I'll paraphrase, God, show yourself to these people.
Yeah.
Boom. That was it.
Yeah. No.
That was it. If you know where you stand, travailing sometimes happens out of our heart for ourselves and other people and situations. I was so proud of Charity. I have to tell her a little bit, because Charity is our child that has a tendency to think things about herself that aren't true. We all did that as kids. And she's a wonderful, incredible young lady. And I guess somebody told her the other day, said, I don't like your singing voice. Or something was it a singing voice or something along those lines? And Charity just looked at her and just mouthed right back to her. Well, you don't have to listen, something like that. But it was amazing to see the confidence come out in her that is not her typical norm. That lets you know as a parent, we are doing something right to make her understand where she stands. Now, Hope will tell you off in a heartbeat. She's always been that way. She's been that way since she was a kid. But it amazes me that when you know where you stand, the things you can accomplish and the things that you can do. There's a lot of people I see, and I meet a lot of the drivers for our company that are out on the road, because we're oftentimes deployed to the same areas. So I see a lot of the same guys, in the hotel, and pass them, and our hotel serves dinner, so we see them down eating dinner, every night, and talk to them, and it amazes me how lost people can be. How truly lost they can be. They can think that they have a reality, and their reality is nothing more than a mirage. They think they're headed for a watering hole, but when they get there, they'll find nothing but dust, nothing but grit and dirt and emptiness. Because the only place that we can find that that's not a mirage is when we're running towards Christ. We're running towards God. And so it amazes me how lost people can be. I'm going to ask the men this question. Men only. Have you ever been lost and not known it?
Yeah.
No. We're supposed to say no.
Honest man here.
The women would say amen. Yes, he's lost all the time. Doesn't have a clue. Won't stop and ask for directions either.
I'll get lost and I'll ask for directions.
But the worst thing in the world is to be lost and not known.
Yeah. Yes, it is.
In my job, sometimes I drive a big tanker, big tractor trailer, and I'm following the GPS. And GPS don't know where it's going. The GPS is lost, and it don't have a clue that it's lost. It's saying go up here on the left, and I'm looking, I'm like, the store's right there.
Recalculate.
Yep, I'll pull in the store, and it's, you still got a mile and a half to go. I said, no, I'm right here. I don't know where you're at, but when you know where you stand, you can do amazing and impossible things. What seem impossible. You know, I learned a long time ago, the first year of my marriage, I learned where I stood. I did. It was taught by my father-in-law. We had a men's group, and it was one of the most phenomenal teachings I've ever heard. It was one of the most phenomenal things. I've actually taken it and done to other men's group. And I had a man tell me, he said, if I'd have known what you just taught, the 35 years or whatever that I've been married would have been a lot better. Because men, a lot of times we don't understand our responsibilities that God has placed on us. Not that man places on us, that God places on us. And so then we can't operate in that and function in that environment, and therefore we suffer because of it. But when you know where you stand, her dad looked at me, I don't know, 3 years into the marriage or something like that, and he said, son, I don't know how you did it. He said, it took me 10 years to get your mother-in-law to love me like Tara loves you. I said, well, I'm just a lot better than you. That's all there is to it. No, I didn't say that. I was living in his house. I knew better than that. But what's amazing is I took what he taught me and applied it to my marriage. And it worked. It didn't work for him. but he wasn't applying it. You can have the knowledge up here, but if you don't walk the path, it's kind of like we have coming up the full solar eclipse, August, whatever, 21st, I think. But that is, I find this kind of cool. It's the first time a solar eclipse has ever been over one country. The only time ever. In the history of this, since they've been keeping track, that it's only been over one country. And it's over ours. It's going from coast to coast. But the crazy thing about it is, you'll never see it unless you're standing in the right place. Unless you're right in line with where it is, you'll never see it. They have all these states, and they have the Weather Channel. You know, it's wonderful in one sense, but it's just nuts. They have, it's going to be here at this time, and here at this time, and here at this time, and they know exactly where it's going to be at right the right time. You know, and I watched a thing today about these people that watching the solar eclipse changed their lives. Literally. Some of them have become solar eclipse chasers. I've heard of storm chasers. I never heard of eclipse chasers. They do go all over the world just to see 2 minutes of a solar eclipse. Now, I'm sorry. Maybe it is that great. I don't know. But once again, how sad. One guy said it was the greatest event that's ever happened in my life. I thought, you need to get out. You need to get some friends or something, because watching something for a couple of minutes is the greatest event of your life. Okay, I guess I guess it could happen. If you're a science nut, I guess maybe. But the greatest thing that's ever happened to me is the day that he touched me. The day that he came into my life. When I was born and raised a Christian, I was baptized, received the Holy Ghost when I was 10, received Christ into my life. But I didn't have a relationship with him until I was an adult. And I'll never forget it. I was at Bible college. I was in the prayer room all by myself in the men's dorm. And I had a visitation from God himself, from Jesus Christ himself. I would have promised you that he was standing right there in the room. And all I could do was lay on the ground and weep and beg him not to go. That's all I could do. I said, don't go. I didn't ask him for anything. I couldn't even thank him for anything. I just begged him to stay with me right there. Because I knew that if he was with me, I could do anything. I knew that everything was going to be all right. It's kind of like, I almost felt like Peter when Peter was walking on the water for just that moment. And from then on, I've tried to find that moment with him, because it reminds me of where I stand. There's an old song that, it's a black gospel song, so I'm not going to attempt it too much anyway. But it says, what do you do when you've done all you can, and it seems like there's never enough? What do you say when your friends turn away and you're all alone? Tell me, what do you give when you've given your